to say, I was like, you were watching commercials. I was like, you actually saw that, yeah? Because apparently all the 3 Blade films are in Pluto TV. So
yeah, they're all up. I saw that when I searched Blade. Hey folks, how's it going? The MCU's Bleeding Edge, Friday, 12/27/24. But yeah, they do have all the Blade films. Isn't that cool? They probably they don't have shit probably overall as far as like the film selection, but they've got all the Blade films, right? So there you go. That's always a positive. Yeah, there you go. And what is that streaming service called?
Pluto TV.
Pluto TV, folks. Shout out to Pluto TV. They have all the Blade films, everybody. So if you're a huge fucking Blade fan and you want to watch the Blade movies for free with commercials, go to Pluto TV, or else you're gonna have to pay to see that shit. Right? Unless you own it. Unless you got it on DVD or some shit like Cyber probably does.
Actually, I don't have Blade 1 on any format right now.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, I wish I owned these two, the first two.
I miss VHS cassette tapes and VCRs.
Yeah.
Like I like throwback shit, like 80s, 90s shit or whatever. And like I would totally fuck with like the ability to be able to like play with some VCR, some VCR tapes in a VCR, Do you guys, Cyber, can you remember the quality of Blade on a VHS cassette tape or whatever they were called? Like,
420p.
That's how old Blade is, folks. Blade was like was a VHS hit back in the day. 1998, Andre's pop culture guy.
I know.
What's up, folks? What's up? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to rock it out heading into the new year here, or what? Bleeding Edge style?
Yes. I'm very excited to talk about Blade. One of the best vampire movies and Marvel movies in general. So I was like very happy this was in the schedule. So
you better enjoy Blade. What if is very questionable after season 2. Like it can be a fucking shit show when we go to fucking review What If. So you better enjoy Blade while you can.
Yeah, that's true.
What if season 3 could be a steep drop off, bruh?
I'm not hearing good things about the show right now.
Oh, thanks a lot, Andre's a pop culture guy. I really needed to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So just give me a heads up.
Well, since they have that stupid release fucking schedule with the episodes that I can't stand, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people out there that have opinions on the whole show already, I digress. Cyber, sir, how are you doing, sir?
I am just hunky-dory. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Happy to be talking about Blade, which is, as I put in the title, I consider a film that should be designated in some way in its title a classic. In some form, I think it is a classic. I don't know exactly what other words I would add to that, to sort of tie it up with a bow as far as, what type of classic. But it is, of course, has the honor of being the film that started Marvel, that started the MCU. There is no MCU without Blade in 1998. Right, Andres?
Yeah. No, I agree. This is the first Marvel success film, which is very important to address. Because
no Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, nothing without Blade.
Nope, no X-Men. And it was very important film for them.
That's interesting. Cyber, it's interesting. I wonder, like, how, there's the buzz on the street and there's the YouTube buzz and everything like that, and there's the hype machine that comes with, like, following the MCU, for instance, through the Infinity Saga, right? And obviously, where we're at with social media and, the internet and everything and whatnot, and 24/7 media, that wasn't around back in 1998, right? But when you think about it, it makes you wonder, what the conversations were back then. When it comes to Blade, and it being the first real successful quality Marvel superhero film, right?
Yeah, I remember it getting a lot of shit when it first came out. A lot of people said it was horrible, and then as time went on, I feel it got people started realizing how good it was, and then a lot of people started seeing how this paved the way to the MCU. So I mean, as time has gone on, I feel this film has definitely aged very well. It is one of those films that, after rewatching it, it's kind of like, wow, I didn't remember how action packed and actually good this was. And I always remember thinking that the Blade one was my least favorite of the trilogy. And I still feel it kind of is for me. But overall, rewatching it, I was like, I forgot how good this was. This is actually a really good movie and really did set the precedent for the MCU. And, even though it didn't do financially well at the time, in 98, but as years went on, they realized, yeah, it actually did make a pretty good penny. So it's one of those films that kind of was kind of at first considered a flop, but then as they went on and realized it actually was a success, that all changed, I feel. And yeah, most definitely, I think it should be considered an instant classic.
I think I don't know, but if I had to guess, I'd say that some of that disappointment probably would have had to do with the fact that even though it was a superhero film, right, a genre which was back then, Cyber, it was considered something you didn't want to do, right? Not really a good direction to go in. You know what I mean? Back in '98 or whatever. That was the attitude towards the superhero genre when it came to film or whatever. It hadn't really worked. People had tried it, people had wanted to make, certain films or whatever, never made them, you know what I'm saying? Things like that, a lot of ideas. But I think with Blade, there was also the factor of the fact that it was Wesley Snipes in his prime, right? Prime Wesley Snipes, right? Coming off some good films, probably. It's a pretty well-cast film overall, right? It has some names in it. It's got Chris Christopherson in it and whatnot, Stephen Dorff, although new to the game, was a name at that point back then. So, and I think they spent some money on the movie, right? So I think, from that perspective, if I had to guess, maybe that would be why it was somewhat of a disappointment or whatever, that they thought it could have been a better film, maybe. But as you already said, Cyber, and I'm sure Andre's pop culture guy would agree, we've seen movies that aren't very rewatchable, that don't translate well from back, years ago. We've seen it. We've all seen them that don't carry over very well. Blade carries over. It definitely has a visual look to it, and it's from a production standpoint, to where, I almost think that if you could sit a teenage kid down nowadays and have them watch Blade, they might like it, or find it at least entertaining.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, this movie is very great for starter for a film. It gets us into the universe so well. This lore about the vampires, all that, Blade himself. They do such a good job of doing they don't do origin story for Blade, but they give you, the main point. Okay, he's a half man, half vampire, and I don't know when we're gonna get into the sequels, but Cyber brought up favorite. My favorite is Blade 2. Directed by the great Guillermo del Toro. I mean, that film is like badass. Love that movie. I mean, we get the Reapers there. I like the first film. It's my second favorite after the sequel. Just because it has great action. It has that classic '90s action kung fu that we were seeing. A little bit of the Matrix and
that high level martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. And it still holds up well. I really like it here. And yeah, the casting is really great. I mean, I love Wesley Snipes' Blade. It's so iconic. I mean, as you say for Jeff, it's peak, peak Snipes. I mean, like Demolition Man, the and what is it like the some other movies? Oh my god, there's so many movies he's done in the '90s that are so classic. It's just perfect here. Yeah, and you brought up the superhero, Sandra. I mean, the '90s, we were kind of getting a couple more superhero movies. You have to remember, from the '70s to '80s, we just got Superman and his franchise because like they're expensive to make, and then from the end of the '80s to the '90s, we got more superheroes, but because of the Batman '89 film, we got more like pulp heroes, like the Shadow and Zorro. Coming in, the Crow came in, the more darker elements of superheroes. So Blade coming here in 1998 was like a no-brainer. But what is interesting about it is because it's the first Marvel proper film to be successful, which is great. I didn't know at the time that Blade was a superhero. He was a Marvel character. I found that later on in life, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, they don't have the proper, Marvel logo you see in every Marvel movie, either the classic Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man or the X-Men or even the MCU. Like, you don't see that in the Blade films.
Well, I mean, honestly, Andreas, I wish that I had it pulled up or that I thought about it earlier, but I cannot remember. I'm not that much of a Marvel historian. I can't remember where Marvel was at, at that time in '98 as a company, right? Where they were at, you know what I mean? With comics, with film, you know what I mean? Like, where they kind of stood,
Yeah. Just briefly, I know it because it's this is why we got the separate rights to the studios like Sony and Fox. Before Fox got bought Disney. So the '90s, they were not doing well. Like the
comic book bust happened in the '90s. Yeah,
exactly. So that's what was going on with them. They were trying to get films off the ground, but like it was not working because they were just doing it very cheaply. That's why Blade was so successful because it felt like
it was the near bankruptcy and like the need for money and like the selling of the rights that actually ended up being the boost that was needed to get these other studios to create these films.
Exactly.
And use the characters, right? Because Marvel wasn't.
Yeah, they were not going to do what they did with the MCU. So they just did the thing where it made sense to just send the film rights to all their popular characters to the studios, and they were able to make the big budget. So, which it took some time, but Blade was the first one to say, okay, here is the Marvel character. It's successful. Then X-Men came out and it's like, okay, and then Spider-Man helped a lot to like, okay, Marvel is like a bankable IP to do that. So Blade's great film. I love it. I'm very excited to talk about this film with you guys. And and it's classic. People talk about this, I think, because look, we got so many movies of superheroes, and it's like it gets lost in the conversation, but we always talk it back. I mean, it still has its importance. I mean, it's the first Marvel successful film. It helped a lot for the Marvel movies to get made, so it has that. I mean, look, first black superhero movie, solo film before Black Panther. It's the first rated R film before Deadpool or any of the rated R superhero films we got. So yeah, it has all that into one. So
that's right. It was rated R. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's interesting that the first one was rated R.
Yeah.
It is. It's an interesting kind of a bit of information, but I mean it's interesting, right? I mean, Cyber, why Blade of all characters? You know what I'm saying? Like if anybody they could have picked, right, out of the hundreds and hundreds of characters they could have chosen, you know what I mean? They went with Blade, right? And it worked. It was a good move. You know what I mean? Like long term, like we all have kind of said, long term overall. When it comes to how people view this film, right now in current 2024 reality, it's looked at in a positive way. As a positive movie, an entertaining film. something important, something classic, so it's interesting, isn't it, that they ended up being Blade.
Well, honestly, I think they chose Blade simply for the fact that because Wesley Snipes was such a big success in the late 90s, mid 90s, they figured out we need to put somebody, we have to make a character that we know of, somebody that is really big right now that we know we can bank on. And because Snipes was so so bankable at the time, they said, why not Blade? Because Snipes would be perfect for Blade. And I believe, if I remember correctly, even Snipes even was interested in being Blade. He had loved the comic books and so like that. So, him being a bankable star, they decided, well, let's go with somebody that's very dark, because I feel they felt like a good R-rated film would get the attention of people too, not going like a PG-13 or a PG or something. They wanted something that was, not just for Marvel, but for fans of all types of people. So I think that's another reason why they picked Blade.
That's a really good point, Cyber. It was made for a mass appeal perspective. That was the point of it, and there was no shit going on back then where there was any franchise type theme or any kind of cinematic or connected universe type deal or anything like that. It was a standalone film, right? That was basically like you said, a star actor, right? A high value actor, a big name actor, different kind of project at that time, going in a different direction, trying something something kind of out there, a superhero movie, comic book movie, right? A little dangerous, different. I think that's why sort of, maybe there might have been some negativity, with the film, back then. Go ahead, Andres.
Well, yeah, because another thing that why Blade was probably made is because of the horror genre. Remember, the 90s, I mean, the beginning of the 90s of the horror film were not good, but until Scream, the horror genre came back into a big way. And, we all know the horror genre is very popular, very successful.
The action genre was popular too, right?
Exactly.
In the 90s. Wesley Snipes was a really good action star.
Yeah, and if you combine that was a good recipe for like a potential good film. And especially vampire movies at this time, before Twilight became a thing, like the vampires were still, badass and scary. So you could easily make a horror film with vampires, and it's like perfect. You get two sides of the action side of people and then the horror side of people. So I think that's why it was easier to make this film than some of the other Marvel stuff, because the special effects here is like you put some makeup and it's easy to make the Blade film than say X-Men or Spider-Man, because it requires a lot.
I think the special effects and the way things look and all that really for that time period is actually really good.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean the makeup is great. CGI is here and there, but it's not. It's the 90s. People have to understand it's technology, but we get better at that.
Yeah, and it looked better back then. It had more of an impact back then. But honestly, Cyber, before we actually get into the synopsis and we start talking about the movie, really, it's very interesting, to contrast where we're at with superhero movies now, where we've been at in the past with the ups and downs with the MCU and the domination of the box office and whatnot, and of movie industry, of the superhero genre, for over a decade or whatever. And sort of the type of superhero film that we get now, the style, the PG-13, the style of humor, right? Compared to the fact that, again, Blade was rated R, right? Very adult, very, very much a different kind of film. Wouldn't you agree, in terms of, how it's written, the dialogue, the interaction of the characters, the themes of the film? They're really, they're really going full on adult, adult R-rated Blade superhero film, like without any holding back.
I mean, I mean, overall, I feel that, like we've already said prior, it was a mixture of things to make this film. And so the movie Blade actually went through several different project makings over the years. It actually started out as a spaghetti western with Richard Roundtree at one point. Eventually, it had LL Cool J attached to it. It had, of course, Goyer was a part of it pretty much from the get go. So I feel when New World Pictures bought the rights to the Marvel character, because that's what Marvel ended up doing. Because when they were going bankrupt in the 90s, they decided to start just selling off the characters to different companies. And New Lines happened to get it at some point in the early 90s or mid 90s, I believe it was. And they saw potential because of LL Cool J was really popular at the time. And so was Wesley Snipes at the time and stuff like that. And eventually it rounded up going to Wesley Snipes. But at the same time, like we mentioned before, the horror genre was getting a real kick me up in the 80s. I mean, the late 90s. And then the fact that, Marvel was kind of dissolving at this point because it wasn't doing well, I think New Line just saw that as an opportunity to, first of all, give them a well-rounded kind of diversifying movie that appeases to horror audiences, appeases to comic book lovers, appeases to action fans and stuff like that. So I think they saw this as an opportunity by buying the Blade character for so cheap, as kind of a cash haul, really. So I think it really was all about just making some money and baking on all those types of things at the time because they saw the potential of that becoming, to make the money.
Do you think it was a good fit for the 90s too at that time, possibly, and that might have helped?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that Blade has only been around for 50 years, he's only been around since 73. So the fact that it took only 20 years to get the character made into a live action film is pretty impressive. So I think that, Blade was the perfect catalyst, for that type of character because, like we said, he's a mixture of horror, action, and comics. He's a great mixture of a character. And that just seems to be a really big hitting home run for a lot of fans of any type of film. So I think that's, a key reason why it worked so well in the late 90s is because we had that horror boom, we had the action boom, and then we had a boom of, really people wanting to start making, comic based films. So I think that was, it was a threefold type of deal going on there, and it all worked out in their favor.
And I think it's only fair that we, since we are the MCU's bleeding edge, that we do at least delve into briefly the whole shit show situation with the current Blade project, right? Before we get into the opening of the movie, what a shit show! What a joke! Like what a potential, just botching of the timing of such a great character that when done correctly, when serviced correctly, can really be good on film in a film and really put together you can put a really good film around the character. They go out and get a multi-Oscar winning actor to play Blade, and if I remember correctly, you guys might know better than I do because I don't stay like really hunkered in with the MCU like maybe I used to back before. I'm not every day in it anymore where I know what's going on, the ins and outs. If I remember correctly, where they're at with it now is they dropped the new Blade film, the redone Blade, out of the rotation of 2025, and now they don't even have an actual set release date for the movie.
Yeah, it's correct. That's the last major news we had. So it's no longer part of Phase 5, or
it's currently shelved.
Yeah, shelved, or whatever what they're doing. So that was the last time we heard about this. The MCU Blade movie.
That's not a good position to be in for a movie to be shelved. I don't think. That what year was it? What year was it that they announced this film at Comic-Con? What was it? 2020?
No, 2019. It was like
2019.
Yeah, 6 or 5 years ago. It's crazy.
Remember, everybody was wearing the Blade hats. Like all the different people from the different movies were wearing the Blade hats.
It's just amazing. Like, out of all the Marvel characters to like reboot, Blade should be the easiest one out of the bunch. You know, like I Blade is not my favorite hero, but like I love this character, you know, because I grew up with the films, and you know it exposed me with Wesley Snipes, you know, his career, you know, the action, horror genre. You're right, as Cyber brought up before, you know, he's such a cool character, and I'm just amazed how fucked up this fucking MCU film has been. You know, these last 6 years, you know, like changing directors and writers, and it's like, come on, it's a vampire hunter film, you know, him hunting vampires. It's like, that's all. You don't need shared universe and all that for Blade, you know. Like, yes, like if you want to put him in the Midnight Suns, yes, you can set that up, but like the core Blade is him hunting down vampires. That's cool, you know. And it's like, I just don't understand it. And his cameo, like, let's not forget. Our first cameo for Blade, people forget about this, is in Eternals, off screen by Mahershala Ali saying to whoever was that Dan Knight character, whatever, when he was touching that sword. Like, that was our first introduction, and it was like an off screen one. It's like, really? Come on, I want to see. And apparently, we're going to see Blade in What If, or was it in Marvel Zombies as Moon Knight. So we're not going to see him first in a live action. It's going to see him in animation. So it's just like, come on. It's really annoying. So I just hope one day we do get a Blade movie. I mean, and, you know, and speaking, you know, Jeff, you brought up this movie, but also we had to bring up that, you know, Red Snipes came back from Deadpool Wolverine. We discussed that. And when he came, oh my God, I was freaking out. I was like, fuck. Yeah, Blade is back, and he looks great, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody was like, "Fuck yeah," you know, Blade's back or whatever, you know, back in 2019. It's just fucking crazy that it was that long ago, right? Cyber, holy fuck, man! Like shit, you know, so much has happened in the MCU between now and then, right? Like, in general, that it's almost insane to think, like, you know, that the project is at where it's at. I mean, like Andres has said. What he said is basically the main point with this whole Blade situation, I think, for everybody, really, when it boils down to it. It shouldn't be that difficult, you would think, to simply produce a solo Blade film, right? Especially when we all know, those of us, you know, on the bleeding edge that follow the MCU, that know about the comic books, you know, to some extent, we know the connections between characters like Blade with, you know, characters like Ghost Rider. Right. And, you know, and teams like the Midnight Suns, you know what I'm saying? And how potentially, you know, financially viable, right? You know, and how, you know, entertaining, you know, films or TV series, you know, done with some of those Midnight Suns characters, you know, that universe, or that wing of the you know, the MCU, which they haven't really gotten into yet, is an untapped potential kind of, you know, space. You feel me, Cyber? So I really feel like this whole Blade situation is really like a multi-hit kind of problem, because it actually hinders the ability to then have Blade establish the direction of bringing in a Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah, or who's the other?
Are you Cyber Time Cop?
No. Well, fuck you, Jeff. I was gonna say, yeah.
Your name starts with an A, sir, and I speak good English, so like Cyber always sounds like Cyber. Okay.
Well, he's a shark. He's a half.
I have never vocally said Cyber on any show in the years and years of Bleeding Edge and had it come out and sound similar to Andres, the Pop Culture Guy. It has never happened. I've said some crazy shit. I've said some crazy shit and like fucked up and
Oh
told
my
my
God.
speech and shit and said some stupid shit, but like, Cyber is pretty easy to deliver. So
Happy Hanukkah, everyone. Happy Hanukkah,
you
everyone.
cannot steal Cyber's opportunity to answer my question now that I can't even fucking remember.
I don't remember it either after our little thing there.
Thanks, Time Cop. You fucked up everything. You fucked up the question. Now nobody remembers the question. We can't even talk about it now. Cyber can't answer the question. See what you did? Jesus Christ, man.
I know it was about Blade and something about the history of it.
Talk about a shit show, bro. What the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? Come on, bro. Puff passes to order operations and shit over here. Cyber, I think what I was asking you was, isn't it kind of like a multi-edged blow to the MCU? Because if the whole point of Blade was supposed to be not only is Blade, whatever as a character, really great character, but as a stepping stone, as we've all assumed that there was the direction the MCU was going, was they wanted to tap into that potential of the Midnight Suns and all that, with the video games, the popularity of Ghost Rider, and the supernatural, vampire monster type of characters that are out there. So Werewolf by Night, quality level type, entertainment or content that could come out. If Blade was that piece we needed to get a Ghost Rider, right? Do you think that this is sort of the Blade, shit show, sort of is like a multi, hitting, issue?
Well, yeah, 100%. Leading to the Midnight Suns, Blade is really kind of the main antagonist of the
Yes.
Midnight Suns. He really kind of is like the leader. He's the head honcho. So in order to get him to get the Midnight Suns going, they really need him to be in there. And so the fact that 5 years ago they're saying to us that they're going to give us Blade with Mahershala Ali as the Blade. And then all of a sudden they have to completely shelf the film because they've gone through 4 directors, 4 script writers, so like that. To me, unfortunately, I think that part of that has to do with the pandemic. That screwed it up quite a bit. Them having to push things back. I think that also at the same time, just the allowing all that woke shit into the MCU, fucked it up too. And so the direction that they were trying to go in got all fucked up because of these stupid things that happened.
Some of the stuff I heard about what they were thinking about doing with the original concept of the film was fucked up.
Yeah. So, I mean, all those factor in because, Kevin Feige, I know Kevin Feige for one, he wants to put out good content. And we saw that in the first 22 films. We saw that up to Avengers Endgame. So we know Feige knows what he's doing. We know Feige wants to put out good content. Unfortunately, sometimes your hand gets forced because, gotta show diversity, gotta do that, And so I think Feige really got, pushed over when it came to the whole Blade thing, and hence why, and he was probably fighting back to say, hey, no, this is not Blade. This is not Blade. Have you seen the success of the other 3 Blade films? We want to try to go in that same direction. We want it to be a hard R. We want it to be good. And we want to give an Oscar-worthy performance here that, we all know Mahershala Ali can do. And the best thing that they did when we found out that they're shelving the Blade film is the fact they brought back Wesley Snipes as Blade for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, it is confirmed he is returning. Wesley Snipes is returning for Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it's in Marvel's best interest just completely fuck over the whole Mahershala Ali idea, because that's gone. He's doing Jurassic Rebirth now.
They could technically do both.
They could, but I say just push forward and do Wesley Snipes. Just bring it back, have him as the Blade, and move on with that. Get David S. Goyer back in here. Get people have created successful Blade iterations, have them redo it, make it a little more Marvel-ish and move on with it like that way. Because I think that would be their best interest, because then that's going to get the fans to pull back in, and it's going to make them want to see Midnight Suns. They'll want more Moon Knight. They'll want more Ghost Rider. They'll want all these different characters again, because how they pushed it to begin with and how they fucked it over, just like you were asking, has been so fucked that unfortunately, I don't feel like if they were to finally put out a Mahershala Ali Blade, I don't think it would do good at all because there's too much bad stigma attached to it because of what's happened over the last 5 years. Plus, also, just like with the Sonyverse, as we've come to, as we've been talking a little bit about here, Kraven the Hunter being the final one and it being one of the best ones of the Sonyverse. Just right there, we have
that's a whole hours long conversation right there. That fucking dichotomy.
But anyways, to get to my point is that I'm saying that stigma, just like on the Sonyverse, is what has happened to this Blade film, and it would just make it be fucked.
You don't think one really good fucking killer Blade trailer could repel that?
No.
No.
Now
I know, Cyber. I know you've been, someone that's really been behind the concept of bringing Wesley back. I've known and been aware that that's where you're at with that. I get where you're coming from. I like Wesley Snipes. He is Blade, right? Everyone knows that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad they brought it back for Deadpool and Wolverine too. I'm glad he's going to be in the Avengers films. You know what I'm saying? He's Blade. He's Wesley Snipes, bro. I love Wesley Snipes. If you're somebody who grew up in all the 90s, how can you not dig Wesley Snipes, bro? He's Wesley Snipes. That motherfucker, he is black as fuck, bro. He's a black man. That's what I'm saying. He's dark, right? He's Wesley. But I'm sorry, Cyber, Andres. I still very much don't like the idea of just giving up on a project like the Blade project with an actor like Mahershala. You know what I'm saying? The potential of it, you know what I mean, and the simplicity of how it should be. They should be able to just make a decent, not even high budgeted action themed Blade film. Should not be that difficult. I hate to just give up on the whole fucking thing and just throw it away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they can at all revive it, and put it back together, I still want to see Mahershala play Blade, right, Andres? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'd be let down if we don't get to see him on screen as Blade.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure overall at the end of the day he wants to play Blade.
Yeah, I mean, he has to sign a deal before, right? Like he cameo internal, so we have to.
Yeah, he signed a contract. Yeah.
So I mean, they have to do it. So here's the yes, the project itself. I think we can wait after they're done with this multiverse saga. I feel like this movie needs to be after this saga we're in with the MCU, because let's be honest, does it make sense to have Blade in this phase, or have it when it's in the more grounded and more new universe that we have the MCU, if they're gonna reboot the MCU and Secret Wars, if everyone understands what Secret Wars is about. I feel like I don't think, yes, it's canceled, but I don't think the MCU people are forgetting the project like some other projects are. We're not gonna get Eternals too. So, but I definitely know we're gonna get a Blade movie, and it's just they're just taking their time. I mean, as Saber said before, the whole COVID and Bob was the former CEO, Bob Chapek's demand of quantity over quality. So much content at least the Disney Plus. It's it fucked up, Marvel quite a bit in this era of movies as of late. So I definitely want to see Mahershala Ali to play Blade, but also I had to agree, Cyber. I mean, seeing Wesley Snipes again in Deadpool Wolverine, I'm not against the idea of seeing another fourth Blade movie. We kind of had that with Michael Keaton as Batman in The Flash, and he was the best thing about that movie. So I'm not against we have opportunities here. The best way I can see.
I don't know, man. I think it would be weird to throw gray-haired Wesley Snipes up in there as Blade again and whatnot, and produce another solo Blade film with Wesley in the MCU. I mean, it'd be weird.
Yeah, I know, but I think it it could be good if it's a solo horror film. Think about it. like if like they can do something that like because Deadpool Wolverine was the first rated R film for them to do.
Wesley Snipes is not Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, I know, but again, it's just I don't know. They could make more money. People were excited to see this version of Blade, but yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully, I'm telling you, they can still make money off of Mahershala.
Yeah,
and the character of Blade, they can. If they can just patch it up or whatever, and stop unfucking the project or whatever the fuck they've done to it. You know what I'm saying? Unfuck it, right? And give it to the people, the right people, and put it in the right people's hands. They can make up the proper film. There's got to be some people out there in fucking Hollywood that can produce a Blade film. You know what I'm saying? I mean, fuck, I forget the director. The director from those Keanu Reeves films.
Chad Celesti, that's his name.
Yeah, he wants to direct Blade. He said he flat out said it publicly that he wanted the job.
Oh, he's gonna be
the John Wick director. He flat out said that he wanted Blade. He was like, I hope they reach out to me. I'd love to direct Blade. I'm surprised they haven't already signed him up to do it, to be honest with you. That was a long time ago that he publicly said that or whatever, So if they were going to do it, I think they already would have done it. But either way, regardless, let's get into the actual film. I'm running a little bit long here with my opening, got a little bit of, alcohol, affecting me, what I'm saying? Not very much sleep, I've got, got pussy on my mind, folks, what I'm saying? A little New Year's pussy. And, it's fucking up my game planning and all that, my mind already a little bit. I got to tighten up, but I got to get ready and prep for what if, baby. You know what I'm saying? The real high level type shit. God, I love bashing what if. So it's so easy to bash what if after what if season 2. It's so easy to make fun of it. I'm sorry, but it is. I love the concept of what if, but what if season 2 sucked, bro? It sucked. I'm sorry, it sucked. It was absolute fucking girl power garbage. That's all it was. I'm serious. So, okay. Blade. The Wikipedia plot synopsis. For what it is. In 1967, a pregnant woman is attacked by a vampire, causing her to go into premature labor. Doctors are able to save her baby, but the woman dies. We like pregnant women on the bleeding edge. They're very very positive. 30 years later, the child has become the vampire hunter, fucking Blade, who is known as the Daywalker, a human vampire hybrid that possesses the supernatural abilities of the vampires without any of their weaknesses, except for the requirement to consume human blood. Blade raids a rave club in Los Angeles owned by the vampire Deacon Frost, who is also the main villain of the movie. Police take one of the vampires to the hospital, where he kills Dr. Curtis Webb and feeds on hematologist, I hope I spelled that correctly, or pronounced it correctly, Karen Jensen, and escapes. I'll stop there. I think that's a good stop, a good spot right there. I'll go to you first, Cyber. MCU'S video seniority, sir, since you've been around, essentially since day one. What are your thoughts on the intro of Blade, sir? The nightclub party scene is a pretty solid intro.
Very good opening to this film. I forgot how action-packed it was. The nightclub scene, of course, is also fun because you got all the hot chicks dancing around and all that kind of good stuff. And you get like that rave feeling and stuff like that. The music's really cool. It's pumping and stuff like that. And you get kind of like an idea of, what kind of craziness is going on in this club. This dude just kind of following this hot chick is absolutely hilarious kind of too. is kind of funny because to me, it's like it's kind of like a puppy chasing its owner. It's kind of what I feel how it was, and you know, it's just fun because you right off the bat you get to see Tracy Lords as this, you know, basically kind of like you know, seductress, you know, vampire that leads, you know, this man to the rave and stuff like that. And Tracy Lords, if anybody knows about Tracy Lords, we all know she was a huge sex symbol, and she's, you know, a fun actress. I think she does some great stuff, and she's gorgeous. And it was just kind of fun starting that off right there, right away. You know, getting your kind of like sex appeal on there going, and then all of a sudden, just, you know, they get in there and this guy starts to get scared because all of a sudden he realizes he's among all these vampires, and all of a sudden Blade pops up out of nowhere and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna get fucked up. And then Blade goes to bat and starts kicking, you know, vampire ass. And rewatching this was kind of funny because the graphics for 1998, you know, they're not too shabby, but also they looked very dated as I was watching this, and I was like going kind of, I'm like, wow, those didn't really age very well. The vampires disintegrating, and I was like, I know this is probably not the 4K definition that we're watching on Pluto TV, but definitely probably, you know, an HD at least. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder if that looks better than the 4K, but I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, that looks a little dated. That I'm really shocked because the rest of the film itself, I feel, looks really pristine. I think, you know, for being almost a 30-year-old film, it still looks, the contrast and the look of the film still looks pretty up to date. But when the vampires die, I'm like, ooh, that just looks early CGI look. I'm like, that's too bad. But when Blade starts tearing through all those vampires in there, it's just freaking sweet. He gets out his boomerang knife blade thing going. At this point, we get introduced to Donald Loge in this sequence too, which is really awesome. Absolutely love it. I think Donald Loge is such a great comedian. He's always funny, and I remember watching him in this going, holy crap, he could actually play like kind of like a more serious type of character, not just be kind of comical. And I was like really shocked that like he looked really badass too, I thought. And I was like, when he gets pinned up against the wall by Blade, you're just like, oh shit, bro, that looks like that hurt. And just how he acting was freaking hilarious, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. But like the whole rave scene is just really fantastic too. Well, like I said, the music was awesome, the dancing is awesome, all the sexy girls and stuff like that go dancing around and stuff like that in their lingerie and shit. And but then when Blade comes in and kicks ass, you're just like, yeah, this is fucking badass. And then of course after, you know, Blade basically makes Donald Loge's character kind of flame up, become a you know, crispy kebab, as I like to call him. He ends up in the morgue with kind of the other main chick there, the main chick that kind of becomes like kind of Blade psychic, I feel, Dr. Karen Jensen, who we get introduced to, who is a hematologist, and you know they're working on, you know, Donald Loge's body, the shish kebab, basically the Chris kebab, and her and this other doctor, and then all of a sudden he comes back to life and starts bites into her and starts sucking her blood. You're like, oh shit. And Blade pops up again. You're just like, yeah, awesome. But yeah, that was freaking insane. Like he's like, it looks like basically like a charcoal, and all of a sudden he's still alive, and those bright blue eyes, those like ice looking color eyes, are freaking cool. And it just, I remember just thinking, whoa, that's fucking awesome. Like he's like basically almost, he should be dead, but he's not. I was like, that's badass. But I think it's a really solid opening, really enjoyable. You know, great you know, cinematography, great action, great, you know, everything about it was just a really solid opening. And it really brought me back to, you know, getting into the film again and really remembering how enjoyable it was.
Andre's the pop culture guy, sir. Same question.
Yeah. All right. Opening. best superhero introduction of all time. It should be in the list. I mean, like, it's great, like, setup. Like, you don't know what's going on here. You see this dude, probably is like hooking up with this lady, right? And then he goes into this meat locker and is like, "What the heck? You're going to the meat locker?" And then it just slowly dives into the world of the vampire world, and it's a bloodbath ring. I was like, "Whoa!" And then of course you get the like slow, silent introduction of Blade, being badass, and like the guy looks up and like every vampire sees him and like it's like, oh my god, the Daywalker, and it's like, whoa, and then bam, we get the whole action scene there. Oh my god, so fantastic! Like you see Blade, kicking ass, murdering these, vampires with the silver, light or weapons and all that. It's really cool. I do agree with Cyber, the CGI, it's I mean CGI, it's very dated, but it doesn't hurt the film because like a lot of the other things are like spectacular, hasn't like really dated at all. I mean the action, Carl Reed from Snipes is really great. Yeah, I forgot a couple actors here. Of course briefly we get our first look at Deacon Frost in the raid before he leaves, but we get his like henchman, of course, Quinn. Great character, love the actor. He's really funny here, and of course, him getting burned up was like really cool. So I really appreciate this sequence. It gets you right into the tone of the film. Like it's gonna be your horror film, but like also gonna be your horror action film as well. And yeah, it does feel like The Matrix a little bit, here and there. Like you think about it, I mean, it predates The Matrix like a year before. So, yeah, just Blade wearing all black is really great. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then of course we get our introduction to our, I guess, sidekick. I really appreciate, like, one thing I liked about this and the sequel. I know we're not talking about the sequel, but I like that Blade doesn't get a love interest. I kind of like that, and I like that the female characters are like very strong and like actually helping Blade to like beat the bad guys. And so I think Karen is a really cool, female character that like knows how to do these like I don't know what's her precision. What do you get this like hermatologist? I guess it's like a medicine that does this like disease related to blood. I guess that was a really cool way to like bring into the film. But yeah, I thought this section was really great. It just bam get into the world of Blade, and I still love this scene. It's like one of the best superhero introductions ever for a character.
She is a hematologist. Not a hematologist.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, great opening. Thank you for correcting me that, because that was it's a weird position I haven't heard of, and it's kind of funny. It's related to blood, and I kind of like that, because everything, vampires, it's all about blood.
It's a study of blood cells and stuff like that. Well, yeah.
So that was really cool how Gore did it. That's just really cool. I like that's another thing we had talked about, like the update of Blade. Like this is not how he looks in the comics. If you read the Tomb of Dracula and all that, like I really like that they update Blade to like instead of whatever weapon he had in the comics, I like that Gore changed it to a sword. That's really badass. I think the sword is great. He has more of like that samurai aesthetic that you saw during the 90s, like his gear and all that. I think that was a good change. And this is the image about Blaze, this look here, and it's perfect. It's one of the best superhero costumes. Yeah, so I love this opening sequence. It's amazing.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with all black with Blade. It just works, It's a good look for him. And it's a good look for Wesley, as Blade. Yeah, so basically to get back into the film, Blade takes Karen to a safe house where she is treated by his old friend Abraham Whistler, who is basically Blade's right-hand man, mentor type dude or whatever, weapons maker. Whistler explains that he and Blade have been waging a secret war against vampires using weapons based on their elemental weaknesses, such as sunlight, silver, and garlic. As Karen is now marked by the bite of a vampire, both he and Blade tell her to leave the city. Any meeting of the Council of Pure Blood Vampire Elders, which is very interesting, that aspect of the film, I think. Frost, the upstart, vampire, the young vampire, the leader of a faction of younger vampires, is rebuked for trying to incite war between vampires and humans. As Frost and his kind are not natural-born vampires, they are considered socially inferior. I will stop there. I'll go to you, Andre, the pop culture guy. What are your thoughts on that section of Blade that I just read off of?
Sure. It's more like an expedition, but in a good way. Like it gets us into like what kind of world that Blade's in. So you see the introduction to Stick. Sorry, not Stick. Abraham Whistler, great supporting character. His character was actually first appear in the Spider-Man cartoon. Yes, because so he is actually from that where he was a mentor there for Blade, because Blade popped up in there. So it was really cool when I rediscovered the film and looking into the production stuff that Abraham Whistler, the character was from the cartoon, and I thought I was very happy that they adapt that because he's such a great character, great father figure for Blade. Great actor who sadly passed, I think this year. Chris something. I thought he does add a lot of humor and expedition well to like give us the tips of what's this world is, and then we get into the main villain, Deacon Frost, who I really like. I think Stephen Dorff, who plays him, underrated actor. I wish he got more to do. I mean, he's great in True Detective season 3. I thought the better season of those show. He's really great as the villain, as Deacon Frost. Also different from the comics, but I kind of like the change here. It was really cool concept to see like seeing the purebloods against the non purebloods, and I think that was really concept, something they took forward into this film, which I really like, because Deacon is not a pureblood. He's the person that got turned into one. And I do understand where he's coming from. Like, you're the most powerful creatures, so why you want to like work along with the the food chain? And I think that's a really cool way to like get into the mind of the villain here. But yeah, this part section is just a good insight of the world of Blade and like getting understanding of the fractions of where our hero is and our villain is, and before we intersect them into the middle of the film, so which is really cool. And then discovering that humans work with the vampires, because I don't know, like we'll get into that, but yeah. So overall, good section. Get into the world of Blade.
Okay, thank you, Andre, to pop culture guy. Cyberneticshark, sir.
So this section, we get introduced to Whistler, played by the late great Chris Christopherson, who was awesome. And I loved him as Whistler. I thought he was a great Whistler, and I thought he did a great job as the character. I thought him and Wesley Snipes' dynamics were done really well, and were very well done in the film, and it felt very like a natural relationship. And I thought that was done really excellently. But we have kind of the introduction to Dr. Karen to kind of the vampire world here. After they fix her up and everything, and they give her kind of the info that she needs to know, like, hey, they're everywhere. You got to keep your eyes open. You got to be always on alert, basically. And she kind of looks at it like, I don't know if I believe this or not. I'm a doctor. I believe in, science and stuff like that, and, we kind of see that throughout kind of the stage, and, until she gets to her apartment where, we have this cop pop up, and of course he's a familiar of Stephen Dorff, and Blade pops back up. And we have that great scene there where it's like beating him up throughout her apartment, which was absolutely hilarious. And when they take him out to the car, and he's like, "Oh, where are you taking this blood to?" And he's like, "Fuck you," and stuff like that. He like keeps smashing his face into the door, into the trunk and stuff. Is like freaking hilarious because like Snipes just does it like so effortlessly here. I feel as he's doing it, you just like see like he has no like doesn't even care. Like I'm just doing this because this is a part of my job. This is what I have to do. And I think Snipes did such a great job of giving us this really interesting portrayal of Blade. Because when I saw this film, I had no idea of the comics. I didn't know about the comics. I didn't even realize this was a Marvel character until recent years. So I remember thinking to myself, like I thought this interpretation was really good. And as you know, of course, over the years after I, read some of the subplots and stuff like that to the different, actual Blade comics, stuff like that, and kind of how he is portrayed and stuff like that, Snipes did a really good job of giving us a great portrayal. So, after we have that kind of sequence and we get to the elders, we get to be introduced to the pure blood vampires. And of course, Mr. Stephen Dorff, Mr. Frost is, you can't touch me. I might not be a pureblood, but I have things I have planned, and you can't stop me. Kind of attitude, And we got Udo Kier, who is a great character actor. He's been in a ton of films over the years. He's always fun to watch, playing kind of one of the elder vampires. And that scene always I think is really fun because it gives you kind of an idea of kind of how the vampire world works. Like it's almost like being like a Godfather, almost, type of deal. It's like it's an aristocratic, kind of, government almost. But at the same time, it's like you have like kind of your head dogs of the tables, kind of like the mob, and it's almost very much mob like. And I think that is always a cool little tidbit of like how vampires work. And I feel that is always how it kind of works in any vampire movie I've ever seen. Definitely where, vampires are, in control or try to take control or whatever like that. It always seems to be like that, almost like a mob mentality. And I think it shows it right there really beautifully. But that whole like set was so cool looking. The decor and everything was really badass and fun looking. And, I just think it was a very solid section of the film that, gives us some interesting tidbits, gives us introduction to some interesting characters that we'll find out more about later on. And overall, I thought it was just a really solid section of the film too.
Yes, I agree. I love the way that they handled the concept of the vampires in the film. How they set them up. How the world building. Of the history of the vampires. Where they fit in right into our world. Their history, and then the fact that they have the sort of like interpolitical struggle sort of amongst the vampires, right? There's like, differences in opinion and things like that, I think it adds, some interesting layers, to the vampire aspect of the film. Let's be honest, there's only so much you can do with vampires, right? So they do a really good job of making them look interesting and sophisticated, right? And the story and like historic and all that. It's cool. It fits really well for the film. Good job, Cyber. Also, I really enjoy the addition of them having Chris Christopherson in the film as sort of like microchip for the Punisher in a way. Like his tech guy, his gadget guy, kind of, right? I like that. He's a good secondary character in the film. And then of course, I mean, honestly, I think that the Deacon Frost character is extremely well played and well done. It's a great villain, and is very entertaining to watch. It holds up. He's definitely a lot better in Blade that a lot of villains I've seen in a lot of current Phase 4 MCU films, recently, he's very real, very authentic, very charismatic, sort of sinister, Stephen Dorff did a great job with the character. He really did. Hats off to him, he deserves credit. He didn't exactly, skyrocket in his career off of Blade, right? From what I remember. But he held it down in Blade. And he makes a good character. I think his performance in Blade is a little bit underrated, if anything. But I digress. So, back to the film. Meanwhile, returning to her apartment, Karen is attacked by police officer Krieger, who is a familiar, a human loyal to the vampires. Blade subdues Krieger and uses information from him to locate an archive that contains pages from the Vampire Bible, which is another cool concept. Krieger informs Frost of what happened, and Frost kills Krieger. Frost also has one of the elders executed and strips the others of their authority in response to the earlier disrespect shown him in the Council of Vampires. Meanwhile, Blade comes upon Pearl, a morbidly obese vampire, and tortures him with a UV light into revealing that Deacon wants to command a ritual where he would use 12 pure blood vampires to awaken the blood god, La Magra. And Blade's blood is the key. Okay, so going back to you, Cyber, Dennis Shark. Sir, what do you think of that section of the film? What do you think of that disgusting-looking, fat, fucking vampire nerd character or whatever that's disgusting and shit or whatever, that probably, but I'm sure there's probably some dude that would fuck her, out there. You never know, right? So.
Right. This section really gives you a lot of interesting information, into kind of, pulling the pieces together to show you that kind of, Frost is the main villain, that he is really the villain. And that, basically kind of his rise to the occasion to become the top dog villain in this film. And so, of course, we get to the section there with the, as I like to call her, the pimple. She looks like a giant pimple that's ready to burst, basically. And totally makes me think of in the film Slither, when we have the pregnant woman that, Michael Rooker has impregnated with all his little alien babies. And she's basically blow up like a giant balloon. It makes me think of this character, this albino creature. And also kind of makes me think of the film Seven a little bit too, with the gluttony portion in the film that is used. So there's a lot of references to this character in other films, I feel, over the years. And the character, however they designed the costume, whatever, like that was very interesting. It's a very weird looking, it's very alien like, it's definitely very grotesque, and it works for this kind of weird vampire creature. And so when he's this character is being kind of tortured by Blade, I think that's really cool, because like this vampire apparently is like a very weak vampire, sucks at, does not do anything like the other vampires do, and kind of is just kind of a dredge on the vampire society, if you want to say. And I just remember thinking to myself, I'm like, is this person gonna explode? Are they gonna explode? What am I getting to the explosion here in this scene? Because that's all I can think of, is like this. I feel this person's gonna explode for some odd reason. I don't know why, but it just looks like they're gonna explode. And after the torture and everything, and the person did it, I was like, oh, interesting, okay. But I think that this definitely it's a great sequence, but at the same time, I think they could have done without that whole weird vampire albino creature. I don't think it was really necessary, but at the same time, I think that it adds some grotesquerie to the film, giving it more of that horror vibe. And whoever that person was that portrayed the character, I thought they did a really good job. They portrayed the character very well. And we definitely got a great kind of like gross out moment there for you for the film, and I think that they did a good job of giving us kind of that just like odd throw in of a different type of vampire for this film. So hands out to Steve Norrington, the director, for giving us that sequence. But at the same time, I think that this section is probably, I think this part is where it drags the most for the film for me. It definitely wasn't the most entertaining, but at the same time, it still gives us some great vital information that helps us, get to kind of the climax of this film. So overall, a okay section.
Okay. I'm just a pop culture guy, sir. What are your thoughts, sir? We got that cool killing of the vampire, the veteran OG vampire in the ocean.
Yes. Yeah, that one was very gruesome, I gotta say. I mean, CGI not good, but I mean the way it was, like, he exploded was kind of cool, and fired, that was really nice. And I like that they were smart to put what is it, sunscreen for them to not explode. Like, that was actually cool. I never caught that in my rewatch of the Blade. I watched this film so many times. I never realized they were using like sunscreen, because everyone knows that if the vampires go outside, in broad daylight, they die, right? And so that was a really cool, neat detail to like show, not inversing the cliche tropes of vampires, which this movie does. As Abraham brought up before, like crosses can kill them, but like that's like for certain vampires, so meaning that
they do a good job of revolutionizing or evolving vampires for the film.
Exactly. And so I really dug that. And yeah, of course, I like the plan of like Deacon turning into a blood god. That's a really cool concept. I thought that was really neat, and using Blade to like get the ritual, the prophecy going, that makes a lot of sense. So I think I like this part of the section here. And then I brought up the human. I like the idea of the humans working with the vampires, to like, first of keep the deal going with the vampire, organization, with the human organization, to have the coexistence be peaceful enough. And then seeing the humans to like be pets for these vampires to do their bidding. It's a really neat concept that we do see throughout the trilogy. And I really like that we carried that over, because it's a really neat concept. And yeah, you see Blade being badass. Like I agree with Saber. It's funny how he constantly beats up this like familiar this like cop here that's working with the vampires. I think this part here is it's really good. The Pearl thing is like really horror. Like I was shocked to see this big chubby young vampire. And this is where Karen was really cool. Like the fact that the last moment she kind of burns her, burns her, and she applies to Blade that she moved, and that was a really funny moment. I do like some of the jokes here. It's really funny here and there. But yeah, this section is really good. It just dives into more of like the lore of Blade, and like so cool. Like I love the concept of everything here. It's so neat. The action here is really great. The section we're going into, like when we get into the next section, Serenity Now.
What?
Serenity Now. Uchi Mama. I'm losing my mind here. Anyway, great section. I think the next section is where I feel it drags a little bit. As Saber say, he thought this section was dragging. I think the next section does drag after we get into like Abraham's death, which is not his death, but we get into that.
Andre, the pop culture guy, sir, you have really continued to evolve yourself, as a creator on the panel, because I'll tell you, I can't remember the last time I actually have had to cut you off. It's been a really long time since I've had to like play a clip or like just step in, you know, or whatever, like, you know, because like you're just on one of your tangents or whatever for like an hour. You know those classic.
Yeah. No, it depends. You know, I mean, look, we have a time.
You haven't gone on one of your 17-minute long contributions on the panel in a while.
Yeah, but you know, it gets tired sometimes. It's like we need to do something new. You know, I think Uchimama already now makes it.
You've really condensed your contributions now to where like you're very efficient with it. You know.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm doing another podcast, so you know I have to be careful with my time. You know, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, at one point you were the longest winded motherfucker on the panel, even beyond me, you know, which is hard to do. You know what I'm saying? Huh. Yeah, sir. I've had to cut you off and play clips and shit or whatever, or say shit or whatever to get you to stop talking multiple times, sir, since I've known you.
Oh my god. Oh god, that's so funny.
Sometimes, sir, you just have this this awesome habit of like continuing on with your contribution even when you're already done. You just keep going. You know what I mean? Like, you know, into like into the neververse, into the multiverse sometimes.
Oh yeah, you get into my wife and my life. It's not real.
Well,
Dodger.
I know. You know what? I don't know what Dodger's barking about out there, man. He's pissing me off. I'll tell you right now. I don't enjoy barking. You know what I'm saying? I have a fucking a traumatic brain injury. Dog barking is like really piercing for TBI people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't enjoy it. Whenever I hear that shit, I'm just like, what the fuck is, you know, come on, bro. You know?
It's probably someone walking around.
There's nobody out there, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know. Maybe it's a serial killer. Maybe Dodgers is keeping you safe.
There's nobody out here where I live in fucking bumfuck Egypt, fucking Northport, Florida, bro. In the scrubs. There's nobody doing anything or anything. It is so boring here and fucking so simple. Like,
Bumfuck.
Yes. There's nothing, believe me, there's nothing going on. Whatever he's barking at, it's not real. It's not tangible.
So he's imagining things.
It was probably just a car. It was probably just a car that's radio was like too loud or something that drove by or something like that. You know? He's getting old, so I don't think he can actually like, you know, pick out like, you know, the animal sounds and shit like that anymore. He's you know, getting old. But he's hanging in there.
How old
Dodger,
is he?
he's like 11 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, he's hanging in there though. He ain't going nowhere. He's an old man, but he's still going. You know? God bless him. Took him to the emergency vet, the 24-hour emergency vet today for the second time. Best place to go in the world. Very fun. Real cheap, too. Very cheap. You know? But anyways, I also very much enjoy the fact that they diversify the vampires in the movie and give us different looking vampires, you know? Right? So, you know, they're not all the same. They're not all monolithic, right? It makes sense that there would be, in the vampire culture, there would be other vampires that would dress differently, look differently, you know, different groups, you know what I mean? You know, you know, of course, there's that one character that that is like Deacon Frost's right-hand man, that one actor,
Quinn.
Quinn, yes. He's cool in the film. He's a good secondary character, you know? He gets fucked up, you know what I'm saying? I love it when he gets set on fire and then he comes back to life in the beginning. That's awesome.
Yep, Donald Loge.
Donald Loge, yeah, he's good in this movie, right? Yeah. He loses arms and shit and everything, you know? It's fucking dope.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so Deacon Frost is badass. Right at this point in the film, he's kicking ass. He's pretty dope, right? Basically, so let's see, where are we at? Okay, later at the hideout, Blade injects himself with liquid crack. Nope, a special serum that suppresses his urge to drink blood. However, the serum is beginning to lose its effectiveness due to overuse. While experimenting with the anticoagulant, which I totally killed in pronouncing, EDTA as a possible replacement, Karen discovers that it explodes when combined with vampire blood. She manages to synthesize a vaccine that can cure the infected, but learns that it will not work on Blade. Karen is confident that she can cure Blade's bloodthirst, but it would take her years of treating it. So, essentially, Frost and his men attack the hideout, infect Whistler, and abduct Karen. When Blade returns, he helps Whistler commit suicide. When Blade attempts to rescue Karen from Frost's pet house, he is shocked to find his still alive mother, who reveals that she came back the night she was attacked and was brought in by Frost, who appears and reveals himself as the vampire who bit her. How about that? Fucking intense. Right? There you go. I'm just a pop culture guy, sir. What do you think of that section of the film as we march our way to the ending of the film of Blade?
All right. So I say this section is really good. I think this is the part where I was kind of dozing off because it was dragging a little bit. Like, first off, I think the death of, the suicide of Whistler here was very good, very dramatic. I think these two actors are amazing. I love their chemistry. It's very sad. When the first time I saw this, I was very sad he was gone, and then obviously whenever we get to the sequels, I was like, "What the hell is Warrior Trilogy?" But anyway, it was a really dramatic scene. First off, the conversation of Deacon and Blade in the park was really great. First off, very smart. The Deacon is wearing sunscreen. That was really cool. The big payoff from what we saw from the other scene, right? Killing the elderly vampire Pure Blood, and then trying to convince Blade that should join him and take over the humans and be the gods they should be. Of course, Blade doesn't take that offer. And I really love that scene. That's definitely the highlight of the scene. This scene, Blade, being a hero and saving that kid, from that traffic and all that. But then of course seeing the bad guys infiltrating the layer that Blade and Whistler has was very intense, and I thought that was kind of like, oh, I see what's going on here. And then of course we get into Blade breaking into the hotel or club, whatever the Deacon's at, his lair, right? Is very Matrix. It's almost similar to what Neo and Trinity entering to save Morbius, right? And it's similar to that. He's doing that, saving, and the action there is great. To see the gunfight here, killing all those security guards is wow, great. And he's not being being Mr. Nice Guy. After Whistler's death, it's he's on a mission to kill them. The twist with his mom, I did not expect that in the film. We had hints of it. I was like, oh, his mom is alive, and it's oh yeah. I mean, you didn't know if how far the fight was. I thought it was a good twist in the film. Very good twist. Not teasing out too much about the mom, just some hints. It was really from the beginning. So I thought this was great and really emotional because Blade thought she died. So and then the isolation of the person that giving her the bit was Deacon Frost. Even adds more personal bandana against this guy. That this is his personal villain to kill. Which he does. So overall, I like this section. It drags a little bit, but for me, when I was watching this film today, but it's still entertaining. The twist with the mom is really great. I think it's really good. It's not as sloppy as some other twists that we see in a couple Marvel movies. This was a good one, so I really like this section.
Okay. Thank you, Artis, Pop Culture Guy. Cyberneticshark, sir, what are your thoughts?
So basically, the rest of the film, we get lots of great action. We get to see what Frost is up to and what he's trying to do. We have more hilarious moments with Donald Loge and his ability to regrow limbs and stuff like that, and all that kind of good stuff. And of course, we have them trying to figure out a cure for Blade. We see Dr. Karen try to figure out a way to cure herself because of being bit by the vampire. And we get, of course, the death of Whistler, who unfortunately it really is, it sucks. Like it's very upsetting that they kill him off, and you're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, why kill off one of your best characters in the film? Like, but of course you can always bring them back somehow, and of course we'll find that out later on, but still, you're kind of like, holy shit, why the fuck did you kill off Whistler? That is so stupid. Of course, so that really kind of helps make Blade even more angry and get him ready for his final, battle. We get that great scene where they have him stuck, attached to that thing with all the blades being pressed into him, kind of bleeding him out, which is really cool. And, of course, we get the reintroduction of his mother, played by the gorgeous and hot Santa Lathan. Her playing his mother, it cracks me up because she's around 10 years younger than Wesley Snipes. So her playing his mother is hilarious. At the same time, you're like, damn, I wish that was my mother. And you're kind of like thinking to yourself, I'm like, whoa, yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, that's a good idea. And you're thinking to yourself, like, yeah, Santa Lathan, she's a great actress, yeah. And so around this time, I feel she wasn't really well known yet, and she was kind of up and coming rise at the time. And I thought that she did a decent job with her portrayal. But like the whole thing there with her and Blade, I really think that it really helps to once again build up that anger in Blade and wanting to, get justice for Whistler's death, to get justice for his mother, to get all that kind of stuff in. And we really kind of approach that to get him really angry and ready to have his final battle with Frost. And of course, during the scene, we get to see Frost able to open whatever he was trying to unlock. It basically allows it to enter his body. And so we have that whole situation there where he kind of becomes even more powerful after, basically releasing that monster we were mentioned before. And so we have that great final battle, which was really awesome. Blade kicking ass and everything. When Blade gets his way out of there to get to Frost and everything, it was really badass and cool too. The fight sequences in this film, I forgot how well executed they were. They were really done well. The choreography is really great. The execution by Snipes, by everyone involved, they all did such a great job giving us a really amazing fight choreography, give us really great action sequences in this film. And, I love the overall tone color of this film, the reds and the blacks and stuff like that. They really mesh well with the film and really give it a really great air to it. And I really appreciate that they try to give us like a very Blade-like feel. And I think that, whenever I think of black and red, for me anyways, it makes me feel associated with Blade. It makes me think of Blade. And I think that they did a good job of kind of giving us that association. But overall, the conclusion of this film is so awesome. I really enjoy it. It's badass. We get lots of great action. We just get a really great, fun film that really kind of culminates in this like ultimate rival showing Blade is badass and he is just this really awesome character that you just really enjoy. So I think the ending is very well done. I think it's really enjoyable, and I think it's a really solid end to a film.
I got a little bit left still, Cyber, on the synopsis, if you don't mind, sir. There is a little bit left. I saved some for a final question, if you don't mind. We could, skip that and talk about, you know, that one time I banged that big fat black chick that broke my bed or whatever. We could discuss that for, you know, 10 minutes. That's easily a 10-minute worthy conversation, that whole, you know, deal.
I thought you said you went to the end of the film.
No, sir. I left a little bit left for one last question. But I did not want to. I didn't want to slow you down because, you know what I'm saying, you were like, you had your heat going and shit and whatnot. You were flowing. You were on the roll. You know, doing the cyber thing. So I just wanted to let you, you know, do your thing. I figured since you're a movie reviewing pro, Cyber, you could handle, you know, redoing talking about the ending of the film again, right? So there you go. Plus it's Blade, right? So we can talk about Blade, you know, forever. You know what I'm saying? Blade is fucking the bomb. Seriously. It's the 90s. I'm surprised Blade didn't bang that chick, the hematologist or whatever. You know? It's the 90s, baby. You know what I'm saying? No fucking in Blade. But his mom was like flirting with him and shit, and like touching him and shit and everything and whatnot. That was kind of weird, you know? There was some incestual shit going on there. What were they trying to say? That what was Deacon Frost like some like quasi like Blade's dad, kind of?
Sort of, but not like he didn't have sex with the mom. It's more like he gave the bit. You know, he's the creator of Blade. Like
the mom, so he made Blade the Daywalker.
Exactly. So that's what they're trying to tell. Yes, that's all about. Yeah.
That's cool. That means that you know, in the movie universe, that Deacon Frost has been around for a while. You know, even though he's a young vampire, he's been around for a minute, done some shit. You know.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad that you pointed that out, Andres. He did not impregnate the mother. He just bit her. You know, he's not the one that stuck her and gave her the kid. You know what I'm saying? No child support.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No
DNA test. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No. No. Anyway, so the ending of Blade, fucking awesome. So, essentially, blah blah blah. Brought by Frost, who appears, reveals himself as the vampire who bit her. Blade is then subdued and taken to the Temple of Eternal Night, where Frost plans to perform the summoning ritual for La Magra, which is a cool name. Karen is thrown into a pit to be devoured by Webb, who has transformed into a decomposing zombie-like creature. Very interesting. Karen injures Webb and escapes Blade. Blade is drained of his blood, but Karen allows him to drink from her, enabling him to recover. A la Tokyo Ghoul and shit. Frost completes the ritual and obtains the powers of La Magra. Blade confronts Frost after killing all of his minions, including his mother, but initially finds him too powerful to defeat. Blade injects Frost with all the syringes of EDTA, and the overdose causes his body to inflate and explode, finally killing him, and it looks fucking cool, too. Karen offers to help Blade cure himself. Instead, he asks her to create an improved version of the serum so he can continue his crusade against vampires and being a badass. In a brief epilogue, Blade confronts a vampire in Moscow, killing vampires Russian style, Ukraine style and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just to spread the love, the Blade love over in Ukraine and Russia. You know what I'm saying? Getting down over there. Because Blade kills vampires universally all over the place. He don't give a fuck. That's how he gets down. So there you go. That is the actual ending, right? Cyber, I'll give you a second stab at that ending, sir. If you have any extra thoughts, anything you left out, maybe, or something maybe you want to point out, that should be pointed out about the film overall or the ending, have that.
So the explosion of Steven Frost is fucking awesome, like you said. Once again, showing the CGI of 1998. it doesn't look that great now, you know, almost 30 years later, but still gets the point across and gives us a great bloody show. And I think that, you know, it still is freaking awesome. Like, just how, like, all of a sudden that all that power just overpowers them and makes them explode is freaking sweet. It's kind of like the explosions of all the people in the film Ready or Not, when they all explode after, you know, the curse that by the ghost fails because they didn't sacrifice the person to them, and they all explode. It's kind of similar to Abigail too. The blood spurting in that film too, totally makes me think of that. And I think it's really done well for its time. And you know, that was just a really cool sequence. But you know, like I was mentioned earlier, there's just so many great, you know, sequences that, you know, ensue in this scene. You know, the fighting, the battle, the, you know, Blade being stuck in that machine, being bled of his blood, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just really, really cool. And it's just a really great ending to a great film that is just a really great start for the Marvel, you know, studios themselves, and really, you know, pushing themselves to become Marvel Studios. And I just think that the ending is just the best part of the film. It just really comes to a great climax. I mean, the fact that we get kind of a foreseeing of, you know, what Blade 2 would start out off with, you know, him being over in Russia was really cool. And going to kill vampires over there, you know, because as they had mentioned earlier in the film, you know, that they go from city to city in destroying vampires. So, you know, Blade's kind of continuing that progress without Whistler. And you know, I think that's really cool that they show us that, they give us kind of that introduction to where, you know, Blade could go from there. And it just is a really solid ending. Really enjoyable, really well done, and really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a start to finish film, Cyber. You know, it's you know, the ending's good, the opening's good. You know, say what you want about it. It is a overall, you know, a well paced, entertaining film. You know, that hits across, you know, the span of the whole movie. You know, it never lulls. It never, you know, really gets boring or anything like that. It pretty much hits all the way through. You know, with consistent action. You know, good dialogue, interesting, you know, story themes. You know, interesting characters. What do you think, I'm a pop culture guy, on the ending of Blade, the classic Wesley Snipes gangsta Marvel film?
Of course. I just want to quote Blade here, the best quote from this film. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. That's what I think the end is about. We totally upskate the hill here. The best battle sequence ever of any Marvel movie. Just seeing Blade gunning down every henchman there, and like, I don't know, you guys were laughing at this one scene where like Blade and this other hench like vampire were doing the like,
I don't know, sir. Some of those Jane Foster action scenes in Thor 4 were nasty, bro.
I mean, they were nasty for awful reasons, but anyway, but anyway, like, you got this one scene where this guy and Blade are like throwing their legs up in the air, and like they like constantly missing each other is like crazy. And then you see like Deacon Frost, like, you know, becoming the blood god. Is so cool. It's so gothic, you know, and so bloody. And then the twist, I forgot about this, but Karen meeting her former lover, the Dr. Webb, and he's this like grotesque zombie like vampire. Is like really creepy. I was expecting that. Like, this whole idea just jams packed everything.
He's a creature. He's like, give me a kiss.
Give me a kiss. and Karen just badass, you know, just knock him down, which is funny. But yeah, it's really cool. Well, I love this ending. I mean, when you get to Blade 2 has the best ending. I mean, like, when we get to that, it's like badass. But this is the badass ending. I mean, the first movie, badass ending. Yeah, the mom getting killed by Blade. I like that he killed her, you know, for wrapping up. Wrapping out the storyline. Like, that was cool. And for every vampire movie, you know, like vampires are very sexualized, so it makes sense why she was doing that to Blade, despite, you know, it's the mother thing, but like she hasn't raised Blade at all, you know, this some like since 1967.
Oh, plus
you
it
know?
was the '90s, so you could do some incestual
Yeah,
sexual stuff or whatever and get away with it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you sing like, you know, what, like the Lost Boys or like the Introverted Vampire, like it was common, so like it wasn't like a big surprise really, for like the vampire thing, right?
Roses in the Attic.
Oh man, wait, that was crazy.
I know. I brought that from way back.
Yeah, way back. Oh God, yeah. So like, it was so common. Yeah, I certainly enjoy it. Just to wrap up, I really like.
Just to wrap up, Cyber, we will be reviewing Roses in the Attic next Friday. I promise. The TV movie or whatever they made. We're gonna do it.
Oh my God, no, we're not gonna do that. But funny thing, you guys brought up, was it Craven the Hunter? I don't know if you guys know this, but there was supposed to be Michael Morbius in this film when they were coming out from the layer, whatever, you know, the damn thing. They were supposed to use Michael Morbius maybe for a potential sequel. Of course, they couldn't do it because, you know, rights, whatever, you know. That could be a cool idea. I mean, he could easily fit for a Blade movie if Sony worked with Marvel, right? Another thing about the Spider-Man cartoon. The reason I'm bringing that up because that's where I was introduced to Blade before I saw the movies. He came up with Morbius. I think that's something they can do in the MCU if they have the rights for Morbius.
What an interesting spot to tuck Blade into a Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but you know, it was the Marvel universe. Like all the cartoons had guests of every Marvel.
Oh
universe,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know, so yeah, I know it was weird, but you know, but it was common for like those shows when I was watching as a kid. But yeah, so and I agree with Cyber. You know, the ending with with Russia, the mascot, like did a really good job of setting up the sequel. As you know, we got mentioned in the film that, you know, each vampires, when their like location got compromised, they will move into a new city. So it made sense that, you know, Blade goes overseas. The next film we're in Prague. That's the location we're in, and Blade 2 is Prague, for Blade 2. And so like that was consistent from this ending. So yeah, I love this film. I was very happy that we got this in the schedule. I adore this film. Top tier superhero film. It has one of the best sequels, and like I'm like so excited to talk about that down the line. But yeah, that's all my thoughts.
Okay. Andres, Pop Culture Guy, thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Thank you to Blade, the classic, for allowing us to review it tonight. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun review. So I apologize. I am testing while I'm live streaming, which is never a good move. It is obvious when you do it. It looks very obvious, you know, and it looks very bad. I've seen myself doing it before, and it is not professional, folks. I apologize.
No one's going to marry you, Hernan. Like, you have a beard. No one's going to date you, Hernan. You have a beard. No one's going to be your boyfriend.
I would bang Hernan, right? If I was really fucking drunk, like drinking like jungle juice, like frat house style, you know, really fucking drunk, and she shaved off the beard, I would hit Hernan.
I thought you were going to say Ginny Juice. I think that
she actually looks like she might be a semi-attractive woman if she just got rid of the masculine traits. You know, like there might be untapped pussy potential in Hernan that, you know, is undiscovered, like Star Trek, the undiscovered country, right? But with Hernan, you know what I'm saying?
Possible.
Yeah. That was a really good connection, Cyber. Star Trek, the undiscovered country, Hernan, you know, pussy. Come on, baby. You know, that is sir, that is good word connection. We appreciate that on the MCU'S Mini Edge. We also appreciate the fact that it is almost a new year, which is wonderful. It is wonderful to make awesome content on the MCU'S Mini Edge with Cyberneticshark, my co-host, with Andre's the Pop Culture Guy from Andre's the Pop Culture Guy channel presents. I enjoy doing shows with these guys. We do have What If coming up, which I've been making fun of and will continue to make fun of because who knows what we're going to get into with What If, but we are starting it next Monday with our first 2 episodes. We're going to have some guests coming in, some old folks from the past, the bleeding edge past coming back. Some people like Gunner are going to pop up. William from Geek All Podcast is going to show up to do some What If. He'll probably do 2 episodes and it'll be so bad. They'll be so bad or whatever, they won't come back again. He'll be like, fuck that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go review Blade and Blade 2 and Blade 3. I don't want to do What If no more. So it's amazing to think that we're at a new year precipice. I am absolutely wonderfully positive that we will be making some wonderful content in 2025, the 3 of us, along with lots of people joining us, I'm sure. We do not, currently have our 2025 layout set in stone of what we're going to be discussing, but I'm sure it will be fucking awesome. I'm sure 2025 will bring us some sleeper, surpriser TV series for us to cover that we don't even know about yet. I know we've got some second season stuff to do. Last of Us, Andor, can't wait to do Andor. Cyber, can't wait. Andres, do some real good Star Wars for a while. That's going to be fun, right? Can't go wrong with covering good Star Wars, Cyber. When Star Wars is good, it's fun. It's fun to cover. You know what I'm saying? And then there's the Acolyte, sir. Then there's the Acolyte. We're doing reviews of the episodes are like death. The Baton Death March in an episode review. Horrible. Guests don't even come back anymore after they've done an episode of The Acolyte. They don't even want to come back. Anyways, folks, I'm sorry I'm reminding you of The Acolyte. It's something we should delete from our consciousness. I thought Disney Plus was going to remove it from the platform, but they haven't yet. I thought they were. I heard they were.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's rate Blade, guys. I'm pretty sure that I can't guess the numbers on these ratings, but they're going to be positive ones. So I'll start off. I just believe that Blade deserves a 10 because it's a classic, as I've said. It is a form of some kind of classic film, and it deserves a 10. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Andre's the Pop Culture Guy. You're rated.
Sure. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I like this film. It's not my personal favorite Blade film. As you guys have seen this podcast, live stream review, whatever. But this movie is very important for Marvel. I mean, this is the movie. Look, 1997, when we're coming out from Batman and Robin, Steel, like really bad comic book movies, and Blade, the year after it, 1998, really showed that the superhero market can be successful if you do it right. This is the start of the more grounded and realistic superhero route that we're going to see, particularly with this X-Men, and then particularly Batman Begins. I think Gore did such a good job of making this more darker, realistic, grounded, in a vampire movie, way where we take the source material seriously. And that I appreciate about this film. It's a great film. Wesley Snipes is awesome. Great action scenes, quotable lines. It's amazing. 9 out of 10.
Cyber.
After reviewing this, for the first time in a while since I've seen, I have to give it a solid 10 because it is very entertaining. It's got a lot of great parts to it, and I just absolutely love Snipes as Blade, so I have to give it a solid 10.
Okay, sir. Cyber, that is very understandable. You've been giving that a lot of 10s lately. Honestly, in 2025, sir, you might have to start giving out some 9s and some 8s more because you've used so many 10s.
Never.
So,
never.
Cyber might be dropping a lot of 9s and a lot of 8.5s and 7s.
Yeah, never. Never.
in 2025 because he's used up so many of his 10s that he's
There
10
is
out.
unlimited 10s, folks.
He's 10 out, baby.
No
Okay?
10 out. Nope.
Anyways,
I think you are 8.5 and 9.5 out, sir.
Sir, listen. On an MCU's Bleeding Edge, having fun and enjoying doing the show and the friendships of the show and all that and everything, sir. I am a 9.75 rating tonight, sir. My MCU's Bleeding Edge enthusiasm tonight and for 2025 is in a
hot D.
It is hot D. It is the hot D direction, sir, compared to where I was at when I was banging that fat black chick that night that broke my bed. You know what I'm saying? That was a difficult night. I lost a bed, you know? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it really fucked up the whole, like, you know, operation of having sex because, like, one part of the bed broke, you know, and sank. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the levelness of the bed was all fucked up. It was all distorted, you know? So I had a hard time focusing on my task, trying to finish up. Right? It's already hard enough when you're fucking some chick that looks like the fucking fat vampire, you know, chick from the Blade movie. You know what I'm saying? In real life, you're fucking it. You know? Seriously. I should have taken that chick to the court. You know? I should have taken her to one of those TV courts. You know? Like Judge Judy, and sued her for my bed, for breaking that bed. Andres, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta do the Larry David.
Do you know how much a brand new bed costs? It's not cheap.
I know that. I'm surprised you didn't take this to court.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, I should have pursued damages in that situation. I think. You know, there is no expectation when you're meeting a chick of any size or color or whatever that your bed is going to be broken during any sort of, you know, activities. You know what I'm saying? It is not something you expect to happen. It should not happen. You know? It is a very rare occurrence, folks, to be having sex with a chick and break your bed. Like break it. Okay? It's one thing to do it in the movie and it's funny for a minute, but when the fucking leg on the bed actually breaks and like shatters into pieces and shit, you know what I'm saying? That is intense. Okay? I'm telling you. It was almost those earthquakes in Japan before the tsunamis come. It was like that. You know? Tsunami level type shit. The Richter scale went off. There was like alarms went off and shit or whatever at the government, you know, testing facilities and shit or whatever when the bed broke that night with that chick. They sent emergency services to the house to make sure everything was okay. Right? Because, you know, there was a registered, you know, impact scale type event. There you go. So, anyways, I will give, if I had to give the rating to that video of the bed breaking incident, I would give that video a 2.75 out of 10. Because it is not a good video. Certainly not as good as that video. None of the chicks, the fat black chick is nowhere near as attractive as those chicks laying there on those gurneys, right? She's not. She's rough looking. You know what I'm saying? The only exciting thing is the bed breaking part, right? So you know it's very short. You know the video in entertainment value. Besides that, it sucks. Not one of my best. Anyways, so Blade, the classic, the starter of the Marvel MCU universe, the primer. Our review is over. Again, thank you, folks. We appreciate you at the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We hope you enjoy our review. You know, I hope you're having a absolutely fabulous holiday period. We're going to go ahead and plug out of here and give Andre the Pop Culture Guy and Cyberneticshark a chance to discuss their individual YouTube channels and content, which is always super interesting, and again, better than the video of the chick that broke my bed. The plugs of the show are better than that video, Cyber. They're better. So, Cyber, let's start off, sir. Obviously, you haven't added that video to your channel yet.
What video?
The chick with the chick that broke my bed video.
No, yeah, I wouldn't add that to my channel, sir. No desire to add it
That
to
would
my channel.
that would really add some flair to your channel, Cyber.
No. If I had to use that video, I put in the background of my video so that people could be like, it looks like they're staring at me, but they're actually staring at that of the bed breaking.
It would
from
be really
your counter.
interesting. It is interesting to like think about or whatever in like a childish way to think about testing YouTube and seeing like what YouTube would do if you put up some crazy shit. But whatever. Anyway, Cyber, what is going on, sir? At Cyberneticshark.
So, hey, folks, if you enjoy my content on here on the MC's Bleeding Edge, you enjoy me on the panel or enjoy me as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You can find me on YouTube, of course, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, Patreon, all those great places. Currently on Mr. YouTube channel here. As you can see, I still haven't added anything new. I still have Craven the Hunter as my latest short and Wicked as my latest video up. Like I said, I have some stuff in the pipeline. I just haven't gotten it finished yet. Of course, with the holidays, hard to do that. So I will have some new stuff up soon for you guys. Keep your eyes out. Lots of great new stuff. Gonna try to change it up in 2025 as we get to it. And hopefully we'll have a few lives there eventually and all that kind of good stuff. And if you enjoy me on here, definitely hit that subscribe button on there. Keep you updated on when I release stuff and all that kind of good stuff. So just keep on trucking, keep on watching us here on the MC's Bleeding Edge. Keep on helping me and Mr. Andres keep growing that wonderful subscriber count. And we appreciate you all. And of course, as we always say, Happy New Year. Even though we'll see you again before the new year, but Happy New Year anyways.
Thank you, Cyber. Sorry, I was pulling up the my cell phone version of that video, the bed breaking video. I just wanted to relive it really quick. On the cell phone for sure. But back to the plug. I'm just pop culture guy, sir. Time Cop, Time Lord, sir.
Yes.
What is going on? I've been seeing notifications on YouTube today and yesterday a bunch of times coming from your direction, sir.
Yes. I'm doing very well. I was posting videos, but I'm doing very slowly. As I say before, the holidays just kicked in. So just taking my sweet time to create content. I just recently posted my top 10 favorite Brainiac designs. If you like the character Brainiac from the Superman universe, he's my personal favorite supervillain. Hope one day, hopefully, this new Superman movie that's coming out in July of 2025, maybe we get Brainiac, but whatever. So enjoy these two other videos I have. The comic reads of Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. Check that out for some holiday joy. And then you got the Superman 78. Brainiac Chapter 3 on right now, so check that out. I'm gonna get back to shorts. I'll probably do like another Superman related thing. Live stream, no live streams. We're going back to live stream in the new year, so watch out for January 5th. Hopefully the Three Amigos will be back to do a awesome movie review for this spectacular year. I just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. This was a spectacular 2024 for me. It was really fun reviewing movies, TV with Cyber and Jeff this whole year. So I'm very excited to have our last hurrah 2024 review with What If episode 1 and 2 on Monday. So please join us next Monday. So thank you everyone. Have a good weekend. Of course, as always, happy Festivus, folks. Happy Festivus and happy Hanukkah.
Festivus.
Yeah, that's a holiday I made.
Kwanzaa.
There you go, folks.
No, Kwanzaa. It's not invited on Festivus.
There you go. There you go. Kwanzaa. There you go. Most definitely. I forgot about Kwanzaa. You know,
No.
that is a very respectable holiday, Kwanzaa.
No, Festivus. Remember,
Blade,
Festivus.
sir, Blade celebrates Kwanzaa, sir. Blade celebrates Kwanzaa. Wesley Snipes celebrates Kwanzaa, sir. He is so black that he can only do Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. So, he is a black motherfucker, bro. Oh, Wesley. You hold it down as Blade.
端からまでね、ギザ生地を回すこと以外にほぼデータがなかったんですが、ただもんじゃないですね。結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。少ないんですよ。
I like the pointing. I like how they point at each other. I never noticed that before. They point at each other or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like pointing at each other, you know? I love it. I'm telling you, man. Could you imagine being like a Skinemax level, like minor league level, like amateur wrestler, like those dudes, and like that's your life, living that life, you know? Throwing pizzas at dudes and shit or whatever, you know, every night. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the Pizza Man clip is a classic. Just like
Let's hope they eat the pizza too.
I would eat the pizza. If the Pizza Man threw the pizza at me, right, as a move or whatever, I would catch the pizza and then I would eat some of the pizza before I would fight, you know, to try to like, get a strength boost in the fight, you know? Get my protein up, get some pizza in me, right? So, anyways, folks, I've got a look, actually. Let me look at my wonderful 2024, it's about to be expired and thrown in the trash very soon, calendar book that is basically useless almost. We have the Green Mile. Oh my God, that's Friday. The Green Mile. What a contrast from reviewing Blade. Jumping over to the Green Mile. Tom Hanks.
Great film.
Crying. A crying movie. Emotional movie. Deep movie. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. I reached out to a guest to try to come and review it, and they said, I don't want to cry during the review or whatever. That's what they actually said. There you go. The Green Mile has that kind of effect. As I've already mentioned 17 times, you know, a la Andre's Pop Culture Guy, you know, level of contribution type shit. We are covering What If on Monday. We're doing 2 episodes. So that could be, interesting. We never know what if, right? But it is Marvel. We are the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We cover the MCU. So if they give us TV series and they give us movies, we cover them and we talk about it, right? Any final words, guys, on Kraven the Hunter, on the vampire movie that's actually out in theaters right now?
Wait, Kraven is a vampire movie? I didn't know that.
No, he's talking about Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, baby.
Okay, I was like, what? Kraven the Hunter was a vampire?
We have nothing else. I think we have to close out here because don't you have something to take care of, sir?
Yes.
I do, sir. You know what, sir? But the pussy wagon is late. Coming in late. You know what I'm saying? Coming in late, which is never good, but still coming though. You know, so Bobby spends your time. Anyways, no. So Nosferatu, I've heard is like Oscar contender worthy quality type film. From what I've heard, it is. You know, I saw one of the trailers. It looks really good.
One of my friends saw it. She said it was a great film, one of the best of 2024.
Yeah, I'm sure, Cyber. I'm sure you love the fact that they made the film in a really old fashioned type of style, didn't they?
Edgar's always makes his films that particular way. He's very gothic looking with his movies, so it looks it's still modern footage, but it's supposed to be back in the 1800s, and but yeah, it's got that feeling to it because that's what they're trying to go for, because they're trying to recreate 1922. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, it'll be something I see soon.
I love the fact that they're doing that. You know that I'm not, a massive fan of old school film like you are, for instance, right? Or maybe some others are. But I do think it's really cool. It's a really cool move to see somebody out there right now making a movie, that's based off of something that's that old in Hollywood, right? And bringing it back. How well the movie will do, box office wise, I mean, we'll have to see. But it probably will beat Kraven the Hunter, I believe, because Kraven the Hunter has only made $21.35 since it came out. So that's going to be a rough loss for Sony. You know what I'm saying? On that $100 million budget.
Yeah, but they're doing fine. They have Venom 3 came out this year, so they're making money.
The movie theaters already want to get rid of Kraven. My movie theaters already got it limited to only three showings a day. They don't even want to show it.
Really? Oh dear. Oh god.
You gotta love it, folks. Anyway, so God bless everybody. Thank you. Hope you enjoy our review of Blade. Thanks to Ivan's Pop Culture Guy. Thank you to Cyberneticshark. Love you guys. It's wonderful. That we're moving on to a new year. We had some great moments in 2024 that I'll never forget. Some tragic ones, some funny ones, some emotional ones. Every rage possible, every emotion there. It occurred. It all existed at some point. And hey, in 2025 there will not be an Acolyte or anything like that. There won't be another Acolyte. There's that going on, right? I wonder what the 2025's Acolyte will be, folks. It'll be very interesting to see what will take up the mantle of the biggest piece of garbage television series ever. Anyways, I loved reviewing Blade. It was great. Blade's awesome. Classic film. Folks, if you ever saw Blade or Blade 2 or Blade 3, go watch them. I don't care what anybody says. The Blade films are great. The trilogy's great. Blade's a great character. Hats off to Wesley Snipes. We love you. And we are out of here, folks. 2 hours and 7 minutes in. Peace. We will see you